Hello, everybody. This is one that I've got to keep kind of private. I've got to, it touches on a sensitive topic. So this is a response to someone who contacted me who is having trouble in Japan. And I can relate because the trouble that he's having is the same trouble that I'm having. He talks about several things. I'll try to keep it brief and to the point, and hopefully be able to offer him some comfort in commiseration, so to speak. The first point is coming to Japan with or from a foreign country with a Japanese wife. And then experiencing the change that happens when the wife becomes Japanese, reverts to her Japaneseness. I know the exact feeling, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it is a difficult thing. My wife, I'll use my own example, and I think his example is identical. He's not from America, he's from another country, but his wife, I believe that he met her overseas, as I did mine, and they are different people when they're overseas. They, in many ways, the women that come to foreign countries are seeking, as my wife told me, she was seeking an escape from Japan. And they enjoy the freedoms and the liberties there, the ability to especially in the Western world, I'm speaking specifically, the freedom that women enjoy in terms of communication, ambition, dress. I mean, you take for granted things like here in Japan is very, very strict about what women can wear at a particular age. My wife, every time we go back to the States, she always tells me how liberated she feels. She can wear anything she wants. But to a deeper level, they become different people. They become free people, in a way. I mean, those aren't my words. Those are words that I've actually had Japanese women tell me that they feel about their experience in the West. It's a freedom and a liberation. Men have told me that too. Now, when they come back to Japan, they have to jump back into their Japaneseness. And it's not something that they consciously think about necessarily, but it's something that comes about. And that happened with my wife because, especially as a mother, she has a role to play in raising her kids, participating in the PTA system, being a member of the community organization for the kids, and playing the part of a Japanese member of a community. Communities are very integrated. When you're a part of a community here, you don't have your little house and be all on your own. You are, is that the A? No, that's not the M. I'm the, look out for the new Shinkansen. Maybe we'll see one go by. But when you're in Japan, you have to be a part of that community. Be a part of her. We live next door, virtually next door, 2 doors down from her family, and the whole village, the whole area around us is all relatives. So she has to blend in and fit in. She became a different person. Not a different person, she became the person she was when she was living and growing up in Japan. And she'll tell me now, it's difficult for her. She kind of longs to go back to the States to have those freedoms again. But while she's here, she has to be that way, and I understand that. Is it difficult? Yes, it is difficult, because that's not necessarily the woman that I married. And I'm not complaining necessarily, but I will tell you it is difficult for me, because it's men are treated differently. Japanese husbands are treated differently there, and their expectations are different. And my wife has those of me, and I'm not able to fulfill them. So as a result, I feel out of place, and like I can't fulfill my role, and a lot of other things. Now I'm bringing this up because the person that wrote to me expressed the exact same, similar types of, I shouldn't say exactly the same, konnichiwa, but very, very similar feelings, and I could really relate to that. Now that comes back to, so yes, my friend, I know exactly what you feel, and it is a reality, and I've talked to others. You're kind of in an isolated place where you are, so you may not know, you might not have a chance to talk to as many foreigners, but I've talked to other foreign men in the same situation, and we all basically recognize the same thing. So let's come to your second point. The second point about Japanese culture. Now, you sound like you're you're an educated person. You're a well-spoken person, especially that English isn't your first language. I'm always impressed by someone who can write as well as you do in your second language. My goodness, I have such admiration. But you describe how the difficulties of the culture, the seemingly the provincialism, you know, in terms of, not just in terms of the area that you live, but in terms of the culture in general as well. And we could go on and cite examples, but you listed some, such as leaving cars idling, the abandoning things by the side of the road, the waste that you see that goes on. And although Japan's famous for its efficiencies, there's also a lot of waste, and for example, the trash that we see. If you go to, the streets are clean, but like this is a beautiful street, but if you go to the beach, is that a 700A? No. go to the beach, it's a whole nother matter altogether. Boy, isn't it messy. So you're kind of shocked and surprised about that reality of Japan, as I was when I first encountered it as well. And your question to me on that one was, you're on the other side of the country, you're on the west coast, you're wondering if it'll be any different here on the east coast. Now I live in Shizuoka, which is considered kind of a backwards, not backwards, but a rural, even though it's a huge city, it's considered rural by Japanese standards, but I can tell you that it's the same. Exactly what you described. Everything that you described is exactly the same here. The one thing that's a little bit different is that the people here are a little more familiar with foreigners. I almost never hear anybody call me gaijin anymore, and so it's a little more accepting in that way. But in terms of the other characteristics you described, it's all here. So let's come to the point. The point is, you're having a hard time, and you wrote to me saying, basically telling me you're having a hard time. I can completely read. I can empathize with that because I have a hard time in Japan. Would it, now you described being challenged linguistically, even though you've mastered obviously a second language in English. You said that Japanese has proven a difficult one for you, as it has for me. I it's not that from lack of trying, I took a whole year off from work and actually went to school full time for a whole year, managed to pass some good tests and get on my way, but I just can't seem to get it, just can't seem to remember anything. And it's, you know, I'm not completely complaining that it's saying it's anything other fault than my own, because I am lazy. But you're in the same position. I don't know why you're having the hard time, but you're saying the same thing. And you are having a hard time, and you're stressing your marriage, and it's stressful for you to be here in this country. What are you going to do? And I can tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out. For the sake of it, that's my wife that basically pointed it out. You know, she basically told me that you know, for the better welfare of our marriage. She didn't go so far as to say that for the sake of our marriage. You know, we've been together a long time, and our marriage isn't in danger in that way. But in many ways, the quality of our marriage and our relationship has suffered as a result of coming to Japan. Because, as I said before, she has reverted to her Japanese ways. I am unable to play the role of a Japanese man. I failed to the greater degree of the language, and I remain an outsider, not able to function or participate here. Now, I could muster my strength and go forward, but I know I'm not gonna. I failed at this. Yeah, then that's okay. And it's kind of humbling to finally realize, you know, reach some things in life that I just seem to fail at. So, our answer is to me. One of the things we're gonna do is get back to there it is. That's an A. That's the new one. You can just see the little A on it. Brand new, $42 million bullet train just went past. So let's get back to the point. We're going to go back in order to preserve, bring our family back into a more favorable condition. The dog fight going on, and in order to so that I, as the breadwinner in the family, can operate in such a way as to be the breadwinner and the head of my family. I can't do that here. I can't be the leader of my family, which is in part what my wife expects me to be, and which was part of what I do, what I did in the States. I want that role again. I like that role. It's not, I'm not a domineering guy. I just take care of business. I'm kind of that kind of man. I don't like to just let things go and to not be able to know what's going on and to take control of things. And so I can do that better in my own country. So I'm going to do that. So that's my answer. Is basically, yeah, I feel the same way that you do. I have the exact same experience that you do. My response. Some might be able to do a better job. You know, learn the language, integrate in, like I know, like Hiko Simon seems to have done. Maybe some can do that. And Victor seems to have done it to a larger degree as well, but I don't think I can. So we're just going to go back. It doesn't mean it's going to be a less quality life. We've had our years, 10 years there, 10 years back over here. Now we'll go back and finish up over there, raise our daughter over there, and enjoy. And my wife actually wants to go back for the reasons I mentioned before as well. So we'll see what happens. I hope that helps, friend. I'm sorry to be so long in response and getting back to you. And I hope that anyone else who may be considering relationship or marriage with a Japanese person might consider some of those factors I mentioned. I don't know what it's like on the flip side with the female foreigner and the male Japanese. It'd be interesting to consider. I'm going to sign off for now and wish you all good luck. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye, friends. Bye-bye. I know the exact feeling, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it is a difficult thing. My wife, I'll use my own example, and I think his example is identical. He's not from America, he's from another country, but his wife, I believe that he met her overseas, as I did mine, and they are different people when they're overseas. They, in many ways, the women that come to foreign country, a bit brief and to the point, and hopefully be able to offer him some comfort in commiseration, so to speak. The first point is coming to Japan with or from a foreign country with a Japanese wife. And then experiencing the change that happens when the wife becomes Japanese, reverts to her Japaneseness. These are seeking, as my wife told me, she was seeking an escape from Japan. And they enjoy the freedoms and the liberties there, the ability to especially in the Western world, I'm speaking specifically, the freedom that women enjoy in terms of communication, ambition, dress. I mean, you take for granted things like here in Japan is very, very strict about. Hello, everybody. This is one that I've got to keep kind of private. I've got to, it touches on a sensitive topic. So this is a response to someone who contacted me who is having trouble in Japan. And I can relate because the trouble that he's having is the same trouble that I'm having. He talks about several things. I'll try to keep about what women can wear at a particular age. My wife, every time we go back to the States, she always tells me how liberated she feels. She can wear anything she wants. But to a deeper level, they become different people. They become free people, in a way. I mean, those aren't my words. Those are words that I've actually had Japanese women tell me that they feel about their experience in the West. It's a freedom and a liberation. Men have told me that too. Now, when they